Hello, my spooky friends, and welcome back, or welcome to my channel. I am so happy to see you today, as today I have another true crime ASMR video for you to enjoy. Today we will be diving in to the Oklahoma Girl Scout murders. The Oklahoma Girl Scout murders took place on the morning of June 13th, 1977. This took place at Camp Scott in Mays County, Oklahoma. The victims were 3 Girl Scouts: 8-year-old Lori Farmer, 9-year-old Michelle Guys, and 10-year-old Denise Milner. They were raped and killed. I will be adding this case to my True Crime ASMR series playlist, where you can find past and future videos in this series. So, with all that was just said, I want you to take in mind the content matter that will follow. If any of these things are triggering or things that you are not able to mentally deal with, I do highly suggest going to a different video that is more fitting for you. So you have been advised. So, if you enjoy true crime in an ASMR format, I highly suggest hitting the like and subscribe buttons below. I do not only have interest in true crime, as my channel holds much more content that includes books and spooky cinema and decor and so much more. So if these interests match some of yours, come join. Now, let's dive in to today's case. It was supposed to be 2 weeks of fun for more than 100 Girl Scouts who arrived at Camp Scott near Locust Grove, Oklahoma, on June 12th, 1977. But sometimes in the darkness of that night, an intruder entered through the back of the tent, killing and sexually assaulting 3 girls: Lori Farmer, Michelle Guys, and Denise Milner. Their strangled and mutilated bodies were left under a tree about 100 yards from their tent. At around 7 p.m. on Sunday, June 12th, 1977, the night before camp started, the girls huddled in their tents. Among them were Lori Lee Farmer, Doris Denise Milner, and Michelle Heather Guys. The girls were all residents of Broken Arrow, Oklahoma, a suburb of Tulsa. They were sharing tent number 7 in the camp's Kiowa unit, which was located the farthest from the camp counselor's tent and partially obscured by the camp's showers. At around 6 a.m. on June 13th, a camp counselor on her way to the shower saw a girl's body in her sleeping bag. in a wooded area just outside the tent area. It was discovered that all 3 girls from tent number 7 were missing. As counselors began searching, they discovered the girls from tent number 7 had been murdered. 2 bodies were inside a sleeping bag, crumpled towards the bottom of the bag, and 1 body was visible on the outside. They had been left on a trail leading to the showers, about 150 yards from their tent. Subsequent testing showed that they had been bludgeoned and strangled, and all 3 had been raped. A large red flashlight was found on top of the girls' bodies. A smudged fingerprint was found on the lens, but it has never been identified as it was too smudged for a positive ID. A footprint from a 9.5 size shoe was also found in the blood in the tent. Between 2:30 and 3 a.m. on June 13th, a landowner reported hearing quite a bit of traffic on a remote road near the camp. Law enforcement searched the wooded areas looking for clues. Near the bodies, investigators found a red plastic flashlight with a piece of garbage bag taped over the lens. A newspaper was stuffed inside to keep the batteries from rattling. Just days later, after a trip from local squirrel hunters, officers descended on a nearby cave where they found a roll of masking tape with a piece of plastic stuck to it that matched tape found on the flashlight at the crime scene. They examined the roll of masking tape, and the newspaper in both of the fractures match perfectly with evidence found on the flashlight. But it wasn't until a prison employee recognized 2 wedding photographs also found at the cave and later broadcast on the nightly news that police believed they had their suspect. Fugitive and convicted rapist Gene Leroy Hart. The first suspect, Gene Leroy Hart, had been at large since 1973 after escaping from the Mays County Jail. He had been convicted of kidnapping and raping 2 pregnant women, as well as 4 counts of first-degree burglary. Raised about a mile from Camp Scott, Hart, a member of the Cherokee Nation, was arrested within a year at the home of a Cherokee medicine man. He was represented by Garvin A. Isaacs. He was tried in March 1979. Although the local sheriff pronounced him 1,000% certain that Hart was guilty, a local jury acquitted him. As a convicted rapist and jail escapee, Hart still had 305 years of his total 308-year sentence left to serve in the Oklahoma State Penitentiary. During the trial the following year, Hart's defense attorneys claimed he was framed and questioned how the black and white wedding photos ended up in the cave, because Hart allegedly left them behind after he escaped. After more than 7 days, of testimony, Hart was acquitted of the murders to the disappointment of the family of the 3 girls. Lori's mother, Sherry Farmer, still remembers the day the verdict was read. She stated that they stopped by the cemetery and they promised Lori we would continue searching for justice, and they would continue to keep her in everyone's memory. After the trial, Hart was sent back to prison to continue his sentence. He died 2 months later of a heart attack in the exercise yard. In the years following the murders, new theories and suspects emerged. In one instance, a woman came forward alleging that her brother and his 2 friends killed the girls. Police looked into the claims, but ruled them out. In 1989, the FBI tested a semen stain found on a pillowcase inside Michelle's sleeping bag that was a partial match to Hart. However, it would be another 20 years before the next development in the case occurred, when more sophisticated DNA testing was done. Although the results were inconclusive, they could eliminate other suspects, but not Hart. It was enough to convince Reed that Hart committed the murders. Everything I look at still points to Gene Hart, he says, and I don't have a single other thing pointing to somebody else, but the case is still open. Bo and I have been open to listening to people, and we still are, Sherry Farmer says. It's been 46 years, and I feel the same today as I did then, that we care about the truth. As promised to Lori, Sherry and Bo have dedicated their lives to victims' rights and giving parents like themselves a voice. In our case, when the verdict was read, the judge said, in case number 777025, not guilty. And honestly, it was at that moment I realized that Lori, to the court, did not even have a name. When we walked away with a not guilty verdict, that was one of the things that stuck in my mind, that I hoped I could change, was the way we view victims. The man sitting there, accused, had a name, but the 3 girls did not have a name. In 1984, the couple formed the Oklahoma chapter of Parents of Murdered Children. In 2018, Sherry successfully campaigned for the passage of Marsy's Law in Oklahoma, which called for increased protections for victims. In 1977, there were no victims' rights, says Sherry. Victims are the person who died. You are not the victim. Now, we know that when something happens, victims' families are victimized also. We worked to get that recognized, that we are those people. We do need help. Today, Sherry still works as a victims' rights advocate, giving talks to students, legislators, civic organizations, and law enforcement. Sherry says she wants to make sure Lori, Denise, and Michelle are remembered. After the murders, Camp Scott was shut down. In 1988, the Girl Scout Council sold the property, and today it's a hunting ground. Closure will not be a part of our lives, says Sherry. Our pathway has always been justice for Lori and to help other people, and it always will be. Two of the families later sued the Magic Empire Council and its insurer for $5 million, alleging negligence. The civil trial included discussion of the threatening note and the fact that tent number 7 was 86 yards from the counselor's tent. In 1985, by a 9-3 vote, jurors decided in favor of Magic Empire. Richard Guys, the father of one of the 3 victims, went on to help the state legislature pass the Oklahoma Victims' Bill of Rights. He also helped found the Oklahoma Crime Victims Compensation Board. Sherry Farmer founded the Oklahoma chapter of Parents of Murdered Children, which is a support group. As a result of the Supreme Court case, which determined that crimes involving Cherokee natives on Cherokee lands in Oklahoma fell under tribal rather than state sovereignty. New details about the killings are being investigated by the Cherokee Nation. A 1993 documentary called Someone Cry for the Children, The Girl Scout Murders, based on the book of the same name by Michael and Dick Wilkerson, was released. It was narrated by Dale Robert Johnson and Johnny Cash. A 4-part ABC News documentary series titled Keeper of the Ashes, The Oklahoma Girl Scout Murders, about the case, was released on Hulu in 2022, a few weeks before the 45th anniversary of the crimes. It is hosted by actress and singer Christine Chenoweth. So, that is today's case. I hope you found today's video informative and relaxing. I will try to always, at the end of these, to include all of the documentaries, the cinematic things that you can access to just see other representations of these cases. A lot of these are just, it's great to have this awareness and to keep these girls' names alive and keep them in discussion, because they deserve to be remembered for what they endured, at the very least. So, that is today's case. I don't really have much on this one other than the fact that I think that their thoughts of it being Gene Hart, I believe his name is, that is the most likely suspect I think is responsible. Personally, I think it's very upsetting that he died before he could be held in court again and be I wish there was closure for these families, and if they were able to hold court and have him be pronounced guilty, I don't know if that would really be enough for what has occurred here, but it's something, and I think they deserve, at the very least, to have justice and be able to hear someone be held accountable for what happened. This was just a very terrible thing that happened. I hope you found today's video relaxing and enjoyed it. This week will be a soft spoken only week, So we will have 1 to 2 videos of soft-spoken only. This way we can kind of hit everybody's favorite things for true crime ASMR. So thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.